So.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, guys, I'm sorry. We were having issues with trying to unmute our microphones. All right. I'm George Lane, the co-film festival director for PopCon International Film Festival. And I'm going to let Audrey unmute herself and introduce herself, and then she will take it from here.
Hello, everyone. Now that I'm unmuted, I'm Audrey Lane. I'm the other co-director of the PopCon International Film Fest. And you are watching the adventure block. Yes. All of them are running together. This is the adventure block, which was so much fun to put together. Thank you all for being here. Sci-fi fantasy, geez. Well, that was an argument between us of trying to figure out the sci-fi block versus the adventure block. So when I'm thinking about the films and where we moved them to, but it's been that kind of time. So thank you all for being here. Hope you are enjoying yourselves and having a good time. We have Robert Husted. I hope I said that right. Representing the Lost Treasure of the Valley, and G.S. Leakip.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
I got it. Yay! And his film was Paperboy. Oh my gosh. Can you give the title? Because I'm going to just tongue twister.
Sure. The Secret Box and the Rise of Paperboy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we also have the producer of Lost Treasure of the Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. So thank you all for being here. I'll get started with, when you did Lost Treasure of the Valley, what prompted that? Because it's almost like a sci-fi fantasy adventure. It had a lot of different themes. How did you get those to work together? Because we've seen people try to attempt something like this and you get pieces of it, but it does not work together. So tell us how you made this happen.
Yeah, well, it was funny because both John and I grew up watching not just 80s adventure movies that kind of have one tone, so like an Indiana Jones type thing, but we were also fans of 80s cult movies like Repo Man that are just like, let's take stuff that's like super gritty and super real and then add whimsical stuff to it. So when I was originally writing the script, so John and I went to film school together. He was nice enough to let me move back to Los Angeles and move in with him and his wife for a while. And if you don't have a car in Los Angeles and you're just walking around everywhere, you notice that there's just shopping carts everywhere, like abandoned shopping carts. And it just seemed like such a 80s cult movie type of thing. Like, here's this totally gritty landscape and here's this like kind of weird whimsical thing that's part of it. So that was sort of like the jumping off point. And then I think as the movie evolved and as we got into production and stuff, both John and I were just a really good temperature check with each other of like, is the juggling, is the balancing act going okay as far as the tones? Because, when we were making it, we were hoping that it was coming off awesome, but we just weren't sure. Like, there were definitely times where we had to like look at each other and be like, are we pulling this off? Is this tonally off? But what do you,
I would say the hardest part was making it, I guess, because the thread is comedy. I mean, when you read the original script, it was a comedy, and kind of the thing I tried to help Rob with as much as I could was kind of like pare down and say, okay, let's not my fear was coming in was saying, okay, I don't want this to come off as like it's goofy or it's silly or it's not done seriously. So Rob did a good job directing the actors to basically be like, hey, you got to act like this is like you're in like a drama, like this is the most serious possible thing, because the situations that are ridiculous, I always think work better when they're played straight. So that's I think that was the big thing. If we didn't have that through line of the seriousness while these situations were happening and the characters were treating them like they were perfectly normal, run-of-the-mill things, I think it wouldn't work. So I think Rob did a great job in his direction there. And I think also in terms of overseeing editing, making sure the pacing was good, making sure it flew, and making sure, when we have jokes and when we have little pops, that they don't linger for too long.
Right.
Because otherwise, I think, when you do something like this, it's easy to wear out its welcome. I mean, I've seen a lot of shorts where it's like, we're still 25 minutes, but there's stuff where it's still like you get in, you tell the joke, you get out. We didn't want to do get in, tell the joke, tell the joke again, tell the joke again. So I think that was what Rob did a really good job. Especially in the post product, is trying to figure out like what could go from the, what makes it go faster, what makes, how do the jokes pay off the best, without getting repetitive and without the whole thing becoming too silly. Because like one little instance of it being too silly and it being, the characters not treating it like it's believable and not treating it like it's life and death ruins.
Pacing is everything sometimes when you are watching a movie, and that's one of the things, when we're rating movies, you're looking at the pacing, because sometimes you have a really great movie, but there is so much lag in between those pivotal scenes, or between where it can be cut and that it would move along faster and just be so much streamlined. So when you were in post and doing that, it probably, I'm sure, was super helpful because it wasn't a lag. It did move along. And you're right, it wasn't the we linger on a joke and kind of wait, almost like, are we going to get a laugh track? Or, you move it along and then it picks right back up with the drama. GS, the Rise of Paperboy was amazing. It was a really fun look at, it feels like we're beginning to see something new, and that this character is going to have lots of things follow it. Is this part of something bigger? Is this kind of an introduction to a feature, if you can share that?
Yeah, well, we're still in early days here, and this was a very first opening of something that could grow into a shared universe. Mm-hmm. So at the moment, we have a couple of feature films in development. We're working inside our creative studio. We're working on graphic novels as well. We're working on a board game idea. All these kind of different departments that we kind of have in the background. And that was the first introduction kind of this kind of world. And now we need to kind of grow bigger. So the next step is definitely add a feature to it. Yeah. Very nice.
Rob and John, you look like you shot some of this in a very hot, deserty area. Was this all shot in California? And that little temple type thing, if that's CGI, I'm going to flip out. But it looks so.
That's CG.
Is it really?
That's the greatest compliment you could ever say. So. First off, John deserves full credit for finding that location. So John found the house too. So basically, we shot the whole thing in the valley, but also the desert stuff was in a place called Lancaster, which is
probably 45 minutes outside LA. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you ever see a movie called To Live and Die in LA, it's a William Friedkin movie. There's scenes from it. Willem Dafoe's Counterfeit Lab is in Lancaster. Okay. So yeah, part of the joke is that if you actually if you actually live in LA, Sepulveda Boulevard is just another boulevard. It's like totally just a suburban boulevard. So it's like there's an extra laugh that the movie gets if we screen it in California, because when it says Sepulveda Boulevard and it's this like aerial shot, like that's like it's clearly not Sepulveda Boulevard. But the temple 100% CGI. I mean, the post production took a long time because we really wanted to sell the reality of this guy is actually walking in front of this temple. When we were shooting in Lancaster, and John can attest this, we were just like, we just hope this comes off. I mean, we had a giant green screen, and we're just like, we're going to hope for the best. I mean, honestly, I had drawings of what the temple was going to look like, but I wasn't completely sure. I mean, a lot of this was just based on faith, and I'm so glad that you guys liked it. It was just I'm so glad.
And that was probably the most expensive part of the movie, was shooting there. I mean, that was the only place we needed that's a state park called Saddleback National Park. Saddleback Butte State Park. And it's one of the, surprisingly, I love it there, but it's one of the least busy parks. So it was easy to get a day to shoot there. But we had to get a permit. We had to have a park ranger has to stay there all day. We're technically not supposed to do any drone shots, but we were able to give the park ranger a sandwich so that he was distracted and we did lunch, and then we launched all the drones. So that was fun. But yeah, this was probably that location for as short as we had it for one day, but that was probably like a huge chunk of our budget was like making sure that was like the absolute right location
but it was the most fun day to shoot too. That was my favorite day because it felt like we were making an actual movie. Like the rest of it was super fun and stuff, but like we've made other shorts. That was like, this is like Lawrence of Arabia. Like it was like one day where it felt like we were making an epic. So
Well, we also had to race the sun. That's the one time too we had to race the sunlight because we had we had a day there, and you know, we're racing and racing and racing to like make sure that we're not like we're going to lose the sun, because at one point it just went like pitch black and we're like, well, I guess we got everything. That's the
last shot that we got. We had 50 seconds of sunlight left. The last shot, we were like, holy shit, we did it.
Taking it to the edge. And speaking of lighting, GS, wow, the cinematography and lighting in your film was beautiful. I mean,
thank you. I mean, there were a lot of components towards that. Well, first of all, when we started to develop the design, the stage construction element, so we were working with a very strict color palette on the materials, on the physical materials, and also kept the DP in the loop when we kind of settled down on these colors and worked with the references, and then kind of the production design team department worked perfectly together with the DP. So that's why we kind of could create that kind of atmosphere where the colors and the cinematography grow into one thing in the end. Yeah. And on top of that, we had a very good team, I have to say. I mean, all the head of departments were kind of seniors in their area. Yeah. So they knew exactly what they would do when I asked for something or said, this is my vision. How could we get it handled? And they said, yeah, these are the options. What do you want to go for? So that was a very good team I had, I have to say.
Oh, and you can tell, I mean, the level of the CGI work that was in there was beautiful. And it was funny because Audrey and I had watched, I think it's Vivarium, and it is your young actor. Is it Sanan Jennings?
Yeah, it's Sanan Jennings. And he's one of the most talented kids actors I've met so far. He's really very talented and very great to work with, I have to say. Very concentrated, very focused. He asks the right questions, even for a child actor. You're not prepared when you kind of hear a question of a kid and you say, wow, okay, this could have been a question coming from an actor 20 years experience or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what I could kind of pick up from him, was that he kind of like, there's other actors that are childhood actors. The one that played in Bates Motel, Freddie, or not Freddie. I can't remember his name.
Freddie Highmore.
Freddie Highmore. Guys,
Hugo Cabret first, I think. Oh, is this the same actor who did Hugo Cabret as well, or not? No.
Bates Motel. What else did he do? Oh, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the remake with Johnny Depp. He was in that.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, he was very impressive, and he was one, and he reminds me of him because you could tell even as a kid that he was going to go on and do great things, and he has. And so I see that same thing in a Sanan Jennings. I'm like, that's impressive.
Yeah. No, I'm really curious for the next couple of years what kind of shows and features he will be on. There's definitely huge potential there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to what you're bringing out next with it, because that's Audrey grabbed that question. I was wanting to find out of what you're going to do with the secret box. I'm like, oh, that looks. It was such a fun idea, and I'm like, ooh, the possibilities of moving forward with this is really exciting.
Yeah. I mean, the fun thing is because it's the third chapter, and currently we're working on the first and the second chapter. So the first chapter will be released in autumn, but that's just a 2-minute short film teaser. And then we jump in the second chapter, and the second chapter is an interactive adventure novel that you can follow up on the website, but you can also pay it as a physical collector's box with all the parts in it.
Wow. That's
so
pretty cool.
Let's see when we kind of get that made. I hope this year, and that in the next year we can have the collector's box. But the collector's box is really a lot of work at the moment, because in addition to the adventure novel, there will also be about 40 graphic props in there, folded in.
Oh, wow.
So kind of need to kind of get an angle or a handle on that, how to get it made, how to get it printed properly, and then distribute it throughout several channels. So that's still a lot of work, but we will get there.
Cool. Hey, Rob, what I want to know, so now that some theaters are opening back up, are you guys planning on showing this at all, in and around LA or anything?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's funny because we still have like a bunch of other festivals that we got into who some of them are still on the fence. So it's really funny. Next Wednesday, there's a possibility that we'll be screening in Moscow for the first time. So we'll make our Russian debut. And there's a few other ones, like there was one in Seattle. There was a few like in the Midwest. There's another one we screened in the UK for the first time just before COVID hit. So we actually had this really like awesome festival run late last year into this year.
Okay.
We were so lucky. I think we screened in like 46 or 47, and a bunch of them were on the big screen. So it was a blast. And I think LA might be tough because LA is seeing such a rise of COVID cases that are just kind of surging. But we're supposed to screen in North Carolina like next month, right, John?
I don't think it's going to happen, but we'll see. I
think they're going to do it. I think they're plunging ahead. They're
what festival is it?
It's called the Beyond Fest
at North Carolina. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Do you guys know that? That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we've been lucky because we've done a different. We were able to really do the California circuit early. Because originally when we did this, we were like, well, we should enter mostly California ones because nobody outside of California will get the joke or really be interested. But, we found like it played really well in Toronto. It played really well. We did a Comic-Con in Grand Rapids, Michigan that we did great in. We won awards in that one. We won awards. Florida we did. We did there's like a cult film festival in Ohio that we did really well. So it's interesting to see that it does work outside of California. Yeah, I mean, we have a couple festivals. I know, like, we get emails occasionally that are like, we're either going to go virtual or we might do a drive-through. I think doing a drive-through would be awesome.
Yeah.
From my point of view, it's like I'd love to sit in a theater and watch this, but at the same time, I mean, I don't want anybody to get sick watching a movie. I think it's I think safety first. I mean, I think we're seeing like Dragon Con canceled, Fantastic Fest canceled.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see kind of like what form those take. I think this is going to be, I mean, it's interesting to see that the durability, and I applaud you guys for kind of keeping the show going and moving it virtually. But I think in terms of like, we'd love to sit in the theater and watch it again. But again, it's safety. I mean, we're not close to opening theaters out here. We're paused we're going to go back to phase 1, but we paused phase 2. So theaters aren't going to open, but if it's safe to do so, by all means, festivals should run. If not, I'm curious to see kind of like what this takes festivals in the future too. I think.
But we're so grateful that like you guys are still doing this. Yeah. And we're so grateful. Like we have Gen Con coming up. Like we're playing at Gen Con.
Nice.
And one of the drive-in ones that we're keeping our fingers crossed. Have you guys heard of Scum Dance? We're playing at one called.
No.
That was one of the happiest moments of my life when I saw that we got into something called Scum Dance.
It's in Nevada, cool. Yeah. So that might be a drive-in. So,
yeah, that might be a drive-in. But yeah, like Rob said, we were lucky. We got into the Starburst Film Festival in the UK, it's like their equivalent of like Fangoria, Starlog in the US. And so we were like super lucky to get into that. And like the next day, like you said, everything kind of shut down. So it was like just under the wire that we got our first international or first UK screening.
Gotcha. What about you, GS? Will the Secret Box be playing anywhere, big screen or local for you?
The fun thing is we're still awaiting our Vienna or Austrian premiere and our Ireland premiere. So the countries where the Secret Box kind of was produced in, it was shot in Ireland, but the post-pro happened in Austria. So we're still waiting for the premiere dates for these two countries, but we're kind of halfway through our festival circuit at the moment. We were screening. The premiere happened at FilmQuest. That was a great one. Yeah, it's a great festival.
And I love their laurels. I mean, when you see that, you're just like, wow. I mean, I want something that's spectacular. I want it just like right now. I love their laurel. I always have. It's really good.
Yeah, so it was a great opening for the Secret Box, and then we went through Orlando, a couple of festivals in Canada, Romania, Italy, where else? Netherlands. So I think at the moment we have around 15 festivals or something like that. So if we kind of halfway through and can make it another 15, 30 is a good number for that kind of short film. Because to be honest, it's not a typical short film winner. It's not a film that is it's not a film that is made for festivals because it's open. It's an open ending, and so yeah, we didn't really expect to be that successful, I have to admit.
Well, and I think that's the thing. There's never one formula, and we've had other films come through the other festival that we worked for that were like teaser trailers to their movies, and I'm like, hey, if you want to put that through the convention circuit and people see a trailer and it's going and you are paying your money, sometimes that might be more beneficial than just trying to do an Indiegogo and paying that. Because a lot of times when you get in through the early bird, you might get in a submission for between $10 and $15. So if you calculate that and you do your homework, because we always tell filmmakers, research the festivals that you're entering. If you have a straight slasher movie that's nothing but blood and guts and gore, maybe not enter it in a festival that's for a more comedic or drama. It's like, just because you see a festival doesn't mean it fits you, and you really should research that and spend your money wisely, because we don't want people just spending their money and it's not going to probably benefit them. So that's the nice thing about PopCon is we cover many genres, and we love that because look at all the diversity and variety of the films that are in here. I love it. We haven't experienced that before, so it's pretty cool because like right now as we're having our our Q&A, there's a gaming block and it's about esports and competitive drone racing. I didn't even know I liked competitive drone racing until I got this submission in, and when I watch it, I'm like, George, you've got to watch this like right now. Like, I know you just woke up, but look, watch this. And it was amazing. I was just like, can you believe this? I love video games, but I have a lot of trouble maneuvering. And so the fact that someone can do that with the drone at that speed and it go under a train while it's moving across the track is just amazing to me. So, it's that whole variety.
Yeah. No, it's great to have the option to be that diverse, but still have your target audience kind of in one corner.
Oh yeah. Now, GS.
Well, I think that's a thing. Like you saw, a lot of people.
No, go ahead.
Sorry, just from a producing standpoint, that's something a lot of people I think don't think about is when you're planning out your short, when you're going to do a short, is have your kind of festival budget and your festival plan kind of mapped out. So like, okay, we need to raise X amount of dollars for the movie, but throw in this amount for here are the big festivals, but here are the ones like it. So how much are we going to need? What year do we want to get it into so we can write it off for taxes, stuff like that. That's a big part of the producing that comes kind of with doing indie short is just making sure you have that money in reserve and that you have everything mapped out. How long you want your run to be. Do you want it to be 2 years? Do you want to be a road show that goes on forever? Just kind of knowing what kind of movie you have, what kind of festivals, and then how much you need to budget aside for that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now, GS, what I'm curious about is, somebody's got a puppy.
Sorry,
Dominoes.
Sorry.
Oh, it's all good. So, GS, what I'm wanting to know is, you already talked to us about what your next project is going to be. So since that's usually how I like to wrap things up, is get a good understanding of what you have coming up next. So since we already know that, what passion projects that you have that you would like to get to later on, throughout your career, like after you get more of this stuff with the secret box taken care of, is there something else you want to take on?
At the moment, I have a couple of commission projects as well, which are 100% genre and in my corner. So that's a mystery horror short that I'm developing with an Australian co-writer at the moment. So if that is gonna take off, if that's gonna get made, that's great. And I have to say, when it's about passion projects, the project I'm looking forward should always be the current passion project, because that's kind of how I take on projects. If I get a request, are you interested in all this? I ask myself the question, is this project strong enough to be my passion project, my next one? Because if it's the case, then I know that I can don't get tired working on that thing. No matter if it takes 2 years, 4 years, 5 years to financing, that I kind of keep the ball rolling on this. If I can't really answer that question, then I shouldn't do the project. That's kind of always my thing.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's a smart idea.
The next feature film is definitely my passion project I would really want to do now. That's an easy answer. So yeah.
All right. And as far as Rob and John, do you guys have something that you're wanting to come out with next, or any kind of passion project for the future?
Yeah, so the cool thing is John and I have like kind of solo projects, and then we have stuff that we're developing together. So I actually got really lucky just before COVID, and I got a job as a contractor at Netflix. And the person who is one of the development people at Netflix, I had pitched to her previously when she was at Stupid Buddy at Robot Chicken. So I kind of just touched base with her recently, and she's like, we should talk in a couple months. So I think maybe when we're back in the office, we're all kind of work from home. I'm hoping to kind of talk to her about some stuff. But yeah, so basically it's like there's kind of a Lost Treasure series idea that, John and I are developing. Got some first draft scripts that are written, so we'll see how that goes. And then just developing a couple features and just trying to use this time to be super productive. But John also has a bunch of stuff that John is also a writer in addition to being a producer.
Well, I was supposed to have something shooting in September. Obviously, that's not going to happen. So probably won't shoot that to 2021 for the 2022 film circuit. And then, a bunch of other stuff. Rob just sent me a script that we really, really like, and that should be pretty, it's still his super ambitious, kind of crazy level, but it's a lot easier to do and a lot more contained. So I'm excited to be like, we don't have to do a huge fundraiser. We can just do this. So,
right.
Hopefully, again, it depends on, being allowed to we can't shoot something with 7 people. We got to have a little bit more, and we got to. So, I think once stuff calms down, I think once it's appropriate to do so, we'll kind of get the stuff back rolling. I mean, most of the stuff that I produce and that, like this we do a lot of Indiegogo, like Kickstarter to run stuff. I don't think it's been appropriate to run or ask for money or anything now when so many people are hurting. So, we'll get back on there when I think probably 2021 or whenever the pandemic's behind us, as well as the recession, as well as the people strife we're having, stuff like that. As soon as I think stuff's back to somewhat normal, I think it'll be appropriate to kind of start doing asks again.
Oh, okay. Yeah, definitely. Now, where can anyone that wants to end up finding you guys at, seeing what you have coming out next, where will they be able to find you? Just let everybody know.
So we have an actual website called LTOTV.com, Lost Treasure, just the acronym of Lost Treasure of the Valley.com. We're on Facebook as Lost Treasure Movie and Instagram as Lost Treasure Movie, and we're on Twitter as Cart Wrangler, one word.
Okay.
All right, and GS?
For us, at the moment, we are in the middle of launching our website. It's called KTC Universe. That's also the creative company behind that. And the shared universe will be kind of controlled from this website. And on Facebook, of course, as well, there's the Secret Box Facebook page where we're constantly posting stuff that's happening with the project. And in the future, I really hope that KTC Universe is kind of structured like a brand, like a trademark. And as we grow, because we're still young, so I hope in the next 10 years, people kind of will associate KTC Universe with all the playful stuff like you have seen in the Secret Box. That's the kind of major idea behind that.
Cool. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate that you guys were able to hop on here.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thank you guys so much. This was so cool. Thank you.
Oh, cool. Yeah, because I know you guys have a few hours. You're behind us, and then GS, you're quite a bit ahead of us. And you're in Ireland, so yeah. So I really appreciate it. I know that the time and trying to make sure that things mesh. So all right. Well, thank you guys so much, and we look forward to seeing what you guys come out with next.
Thank you so much. John's laptop died, but he says thank you.
And you're hosting us.
I'm back. Sorry, my laptop died.
There it is. Okay. John. All right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys for having us.
We will see you guys again.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much,
everybody.
guys.
Make sure you keep
Good luck with
checking
the rest
out
of the
movies
festival.
and enjoy the fest.
Yeah, we're going to watch the rest of the fest. Thanks so much
Absolutely
again.
You're welcome.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.